What up and welcome to the show. My name is Justin Ortiz. I'm here with Pam Fender and Malcolm Hodge. One thing about this podcast, our goal really is we want to talk to entrepreneurs and we want to learn about people's journeys. We want to inspire people to start your own business and understand how to start your own business. And having Malcolm here, one of the things that he does is life insurance, and it's not talked about as much. It's not a thing that people normally go to as like, I need to go and get life insurance. But after having conversations with Malcolm and him setting me up with life insurance, gave me a new understanding of why life insurance is so powerful. And so before we get into that, I want to welcome you, and then I also want you to just introduce yourself and just let everybody know exactly what you do.
All right, I appreciate it, man. So I'm Malcolm Hodge. I do life insurance along with health insurance, supplemental insurance. I help businesses and business owners to increase retention by adding a form of benefits that in a lot of cases don't even cost them money, like on a payroll deduction type basis where you can save them on FICA tax and benefits, they increase retention. So a lot of people don't know that. But yeah, I do life insurance, health insurance, supplemental, also business development for a property lending team as well. But we'll talk about that on another
podcast.
Yeah, another podcast.
Yeah.
But
you are really good at building relationships, and I think that's what and I think it's the trustworthiness of you, and you gain people's respect pretty quickly from just being that honest person. So I think that's kind of key to what he's doing too. So I guess what we're saying within our podcast too, we definitely want to make sure that we're promoting the local businesses in the area, but at the same time too, we want people to start understanding some of what these businesses can do for you. Because off camera, we were talking and I was like, why do I need life insurance? So, and you said I'm an idiot, pretty much, right?
Well, I didn't quite say it like that, but
okay.
One of the biggest misconceptions is that life insurance is only for a death benefit. Like a lot of people will say the same thing.
Well, that's what I said. You're like, you need to have it. I'm like, why? I'm going to be dead. What do I care, right?
Right. So that's one of the biggest misconceptions, if not the biggest misconception of life insurance is the fact that people only access it when you pass. But in actuality, the biggest piece of that life insurance is the living benefit.
Okay.
And how it's an actual vehicle for, especially a lot of business owners have a lot of monies put away in life insurance because number one, tax-free growth.
Okay.
Guaranteed.
The only thing that you can get a guaranteed rate of return in.
You said tax-free growth?
Tax-free growth.
Tax-free growth. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Guaranteed rate of return and dividends.
Okay.
So you have your policy long enough, which you'll see in a few years, you'll start getting dividends from the company.
Right. Kind of like owning a stock too, like
absolutely.
You receive your dividends from them. Okay.
So as long as you continue to pay your premiums, which you've been paying his premiums for quite a couple of years now, actually has a couple policies that do different things. So we structured policies to fit his lifestyle, and he's going to be yielding a lot of return here shortly. By the way, some of his policies are set up. So it's infinite banking policies where Justin has essentially become his own bank.
Okay. But he's young.
Exactly.
So,
He's wise.
To that point, at his age, that you're supposed to get life insurance policies because they're cheaper at that time, right? But some of us that are older, isn't there really like an expiration date on when you should be buying life insurance policies?
If you're still breathing, you're in good health.
Okay.
You can get life insurance. I know some people that are not in great health. Just for instance, yesterday, I put a policy in place for a woman that's right at 70 years old. Not the best of health, but we got her covered. Okay. And she no longer has to be worried about being a financial burden on her loved ones once she leaves here. So therefore, they can put her away because a lot of people don't think about that either. It's like, hey, I don't benefit from it. Like, why would I pay into it? But guess what? Somebody else has to worry about that financial hardship, those out-of-pocket expenses when you check out. So people take off work for funerals and travel, bury a person. So all that costs.
So it's absolutely necessary for any age. And I know you said that when your kids are younger, like to get them on as soon as possible, so that by the time they're like 18, 19, 20, they could have six figures in there,
Right.
based on, well, I don't know if it's six figures, but
So
it's a lot.
right.
Yeah.
So it's math, not magic. But yeah, when you're younger, you can get more insurance for much less.
Yeah.
Mortality rates, you're healthier,
Gotcha.
you know. But like I was saying before, the cash value aspect is so huge, that component, because when you think about it, most wealthy people, major corporations, they all have lots of money built up and stored inside of life insurance.
So not in the stock market. So they pretty much.
I'm not saying.
So it's a basket.
So you have a bevy of different options. So of course they do dabble in the market as well, but as you get older, you want to kind of risk mitigation.
Risk
exactly.
tolerances gets less.
So yeah, you can compound. It's called indexing. You can index, capture the gains of the market without any of the associated risk. That's what you do with life insurance. So your cash value mirrors the market without the risk of the market. And depending on the structure of the policy, like a whole life policy, typically it guarantees a rate of return of a little over 3%.
So when you're talking about, there is different types of policies. So you say whole life. So whole life is basically
Permanent life insurance.
okay.
It's never going to go up on you. It's the same. You pay the same premium each month.
Okay.
Most people, the standard, pay it to age 100 and dials at 100. But most people are not living that long. However, you have different ways you can structure it. It's called a 10 pay, a 20 pay. You can pay it for 10 years or 20 years, and it's paid up, and it still grows. The cash value still compounds
Okay.
after you finish paying on it. So it's
So I think before you walked in, Justin brought it up, and he said that when he got his policy with you, that he said that it was an option to borrow from. Is that what you said to me?
Yeah, so eventually you are able to borrow from it, but I think it takes a certain amount of time. But you can elaborate on that a little bit.
So essentially, rule of thumb, you don't want to touch it before 10 years.
Okay.
So it starts to mature and accrue interest. So we didn't set up just a typical like a standard policy. We did a few policies for Justin. Justin has a if you don't mind me telling, he has a full return of premium term policy where he pays it's a term where he pays, I think we did 20 or 25 years. I can't remember, we did it so long ago, but after that length of time, he's still going to be here. He's a healthy young guy. Takes care of himself.
Years old.
You're going to be here until you're 100 years, right?
Yeah, his grandparents
My
to live until like
grandfather
100.
Really?
Yeah.
100? 99, huh?
Yeah, so I'll break his record. At least.
There you go. Dude looks like a 12-year-old with a beard.
12.
No, but seriously, so we did a term policy, a full return of premium, where after 20 years or 25 years, instead of the term just expiring and going away, he gets back every single dime he put into that policy in a lump sum check. And heaven forbid, if there were ever, say, a critical, chronic, terminal event, it pays out for that as well. So
what you're saying is there like a death benefit plus?
correct.
Okay.
And also we did another policy for Justin, more so like a business, like this is one that most business owners do. It's called an index universal life policy.
Okay.
So it's a universal life policy, so it's more flexible. But the thing is, this policy, the cash value mirrors the market, and it grows more in cash value, higher than your typical policy. So he pays premium a little more monthly for that one,
Okay.
and it yields higher return. So
Is that the one where you can only put a certain amount in every year?
so we were talking about the MEC, the Medify, you don't want it to MEC. So yeah.
Okay.
In a nutshell, yeah.
Okay.
So basically, if you want a larger cash value bucket, you get a larger container. So we'll increase the premium, get a larger face amount, and then so the more cash you want to grow, the larger the face amount we get.
Right.
The more we pay premium. So yeah, essentially, so it was a lot that went into that conversation, but yeah. That's what we're kind of talking about, yeah.
So, you brought up a question earlier too, and it was about, I know I'm going to talk about the old people in the room, but the young people, you were kind of saying that you really feel like young people underestimate the value of getting insurance early. So
Well, I mean, it's not something that is taught to us at a younger age,
Right.
you know, so we don't look at it as important. And so for us, it's important to start teaching the kids like this, like we tell them to get a job, go to college, but we should also be telling them that they need to have their own life insurance policy at the same time. Because number one, that's part of how wealth is built.
right.
You know, and that's also how wealth is passed down from generation to generation. You know what I mean? And then if you add in the part where you can create a trust.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then your life insurance policy can get transferred
trust.
over into the trust, and now it's passed down generation to generation. It's an ongoing cycle, and that's how people do it. And so it's not taught though.
Right.
Exactly.
Is there
Yes.
an age though that you feel like you should start having that conversations with kids?
2.
Too.
No, I'm joking.
Did you talk it
listen,
to Malcolm?
Did
You
I talk it to?
right?
Did I
Right.
talk it to?
Yeah.
Of course, I talked it to.
He probably talked complete sentences.
I wouldn't go that far, but yeah, I went to mute, but yeah, but yeah. So yeah, I talk to my kids about saving. I wouldn't say that they know what I do.
Yeah.
As far as life insurance, they know I have plenty of policies on them. I haven't really gone into the
Details.
nitty gritty of it, yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, we have conversations on saving and not just trying to spend everything that comes in. But yeah, we'll start delving a little deeper into that
As they get older.
Exactly, once they can really.
So do you feel like some of the college students out there that when their parents are paying for all this college and stuff that if they started those policies at that point, would they be relatively cheaper for these people? Because I have been told that at my age, my policy is going to be quite expensive because I didn't think ahead in my 20s and my 30s.
Gotcha. So I mean, naturally, the earlier you get it, the less expensive it will be. It's funny that you talked about college kids. I literally just did a course over at a college here.
You did?
Yeah, I did. Just one little course on life insurance and the value of it and like cash value, like how you can access it, things of that nature. But did that course and I got some phone calls from some of the kids. Their parents wanted to talk to me, and
Wow.
now they're educated, and a couple of the younger college kids got a few policies. But
That's neat.
yeah, so it's always better to do it younger,
Okay.
but it's better late than never.
Mhm.
Because
You, of course, had policies when you were in 20s, right? Because you were smart when you were 20.
so actually, to be honest with you, I got my first policy of my own when I was 27,
Wow.
and that's because that's when I had my daughter.
Okay.
So, and that's when I first got into the life insurance industry. So I learned the importance of it in passing down generational wealth, and also, making sure that we leave a legacy behind and not a liability.
Okay.
So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
With entrepreneurs, business owners, life insurance can play a critical role in their financial planning. How important is it for people who are not on payroll, right, to be really investing into life insurance, because their setup or for the future is a little bit different than people who are actually on payroll?
Great question, because corporations have what's called key man insurance at times, and they want to put a lot of life insurance on that person that brings in or helps bring in a lot of revenue.
Okay.
The same way banks have millions and billions in life insurance. So if something were to happen to that employer, all the employees' lives and livelihoods are at stake. So if you're a business owner and you have employees, you would definitely probably want to have a lot more insurance on yourself. That way, something happens to you, the company doesn't fold, and operations can still. That's when you have operations in place. So I'm sure it's a lot more that goes into it than just the life insurance aspect, but that definitely helps, because life insurance is also the only thing that you can pay 1 month premium into, and something happened to you, and the trade-off is your family is.
They gotta take care of you no matter what, if it's a month or if it's 10 years.
100%.
Yeah, and your employees, right? You don't want them to be, you die and then the next day everybody's trying to figure everything out and there's no money for payroll.
Right.
Right. So,
Absolutely.
and that's why, like I said, a lot of companies get key man insurance, and that covers like if that person had an untimely demise, then there's a large lump sum of cash that can, I guess you could keep things churning for a little bit until you can find that replacement to come in. But, it's a lot of things people don't think about, but that's another reason why I was telling you before we started the podcast, anytime you walk into the bank, you'll see where it says FDIC and it says insured up to $250,000.
Yeah.
Think about it. Wealthy, ultra wealthy, and rich people will not put all of their
money.
assets or all of their money in the bank.
Right.
And they're not going to put all of their assets in the market, which is highly volatile as well.
Well, when some of these banks were crashing, more recently over the past year, you started seeing people losing millions of dollars.
Yep.
And so there was one NBA player, I don't know if you heard about this story, Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So he has 24 bank accounts, I believe. And so,
He does?
Surprise.
yeah, he has 24 bank accounts, and I believe he only puts $250,000 in each one of them.
Smart man. He
'Cause
puts. He
knows that
sends the
they're
majority
insured.
of his money back home. He
Really?
sends I think he sent like almost all of his money back home. His first couple contracts.
Yeah.
Really?
And he also has a lot of money in life insurance.
Wow.
So
Yeah, and if
But-
the banks crash, they're gonna insure that 250,000 versus
That's
if
it.
he has 10 million in there,
Right.
he's out of money, and
Mhm.
so he has just. I'm sure other players have it,
yeah.
or other wealthy people just have a bunch of bank accounts.
Yeah. I have a relative of mine that's professional athlete, multimillionaire. Won't say any names, but yeah, he has tons of money in life insurance, and he
Are
like
you
he
his
a lot
key,
of
are
a
you
lot
his
of
key man in his life insurance policies?
without saying, but the thing is, so when it comes to asset protection. You never want to put all your money in the bank. Stock market crash of 08 taught a lot of people a lot about exactly. People lost 401ks. They lost mutual fund. People were jumping out of buildings. I know you remember.
I do remember
08.
that, yes.
But people that had lots of money in life insurance did not lose one dime. Life insurance did not. If anything, it still grew 3%. You grow
Right, because it wasn't based on housing, right?
So banks lend out $3 to every $1 they receive.
Really?
Yep. That's why that bank just went under.
So they're
Life
not
insurance.
required to have that much money.
They don't have that much money. If you go to the bank right now and say, "Hey, let me get $5,000," they're gonna tell you to come back.
They don't got it.
They don't have it.
Yeah.
So life insurance lends out $1 to every 3 they receive. You call the life insurance company, "Hey, I need to take a loan out on my policy." They're gonna wire that money to that routing number and account number that we took down when we did the policy. They're gonna wire it there in 24 hours. So you're infinite banking. And when you borrow from that policy, you borrow a certain amount. Guess what happens? It's called arbitrage. So you familiar with arbitrage?
Yeah.
That takes place during that policy loan. You can make an interest-free, tax-free loan on your own policy within the first 12 months. And then guess what? If you don't pay it back, continue to live, pay your premium, it's going to replenish itself.
That's
So
wild.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah, that's
Your
wild.
money's still growing and compounding interest
Yeah.
on a loan that you took out.
So why don't we play the scenario out? So Justin, you kind of talked about this, right? So let's just say, what's the factors in determining what kind of policy someone should have
Great question.
based on an individual?
Okay, so number one, women are going to get a little bit lesser. Your premium is going to be a little less than men because more women typically live longer.
Okay.
Age, of course,
Okay.
mortality rates. The older you are, the more you will pay.
Okay.
A little more.
Yeah.
Health. If you're in good health, you get a better rate. Sometimes if you have people that's in really bad health and they're old, it'll be kind of tough getting them coverage, and especially an adequate amount, like the amount that they really want.
Okay.
And then you do have some people that's completely unrealistic. Like, what? I'm 77. Why can't I get 100,000? But yeah, pretty much age, health, and sex.
Mm-hmm. Are
So,
the big factors.
Yep.
What about their work? Like, I mean, the kind of work that they do.
So that more so on the supplemental side of things. Those they look at ratings and classification and certain graded policies.
Wow.
In that regard.
I had no idea.
Yeah. So if I'm doing like a industry, I have to put in industry codes when I'm setting up an account.
Okay.
And then if it's office work like this, you'll get the best rates. Like teachers typically get best rates in office admin. But if you have somebody doing welding, engineering, construction, stuff like that, it's a little more dangerous.
What about realtors? Because I feel like we live very high risk jobs, and we're not talking about just the happy hours, but I mean,
It's high risk. I mean, you get pretty good rates.
I do. Okay.
You get good rates. I mean, I think it's like rated B rating, something like that.
With the advancement of technology, you got AI, you got all these different things coming over the next couple of years.
Yeah.
You know, it seems like it's going so fast. How does that new technology impact life insurance?
That's a great question. So I've seen some advertisements online where people are saying, "Hey, you can just go on this site and put your information in, and you'll get life insurance." Eventually, I feel that as time goes on, eventually AI might even replace some agents.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's going to be some time before that happens, for the simple fact that so much goes into getting your license and all the regulations and everything. It's
And don't people have to trust you? I mean,
100%. Yeah.
I very rarely, and I don't think I'm the norm, but I really struggle to do anything when it comes down to money online. And besides just checking my bank account. I mean, if someone's asking me to take a home equity line or someone's asking me to set up a new account, I want to face that person. I want to know that I know where you live.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not necessarily your home, but at least where your company is, because when you decide the door shut down on that internet company, which, by the way, there's been plenty of companies that are built based on the internet that have fallen apart, and in my opinion, they're Ponzi schemes, because if I can't see you face to face, then you don't exist, right? So I really feel like relationships are kind of key to knowing and trusting that person that you're investing in.
But that's right now, though. That's right now. Because you got to understand, there's like 16, 17, 18-year-olds that are growing up in the age where that's the norm for them. So imagine the next 10 years, they're going to be 25, 26, 27 years old, and that's all they're going to know. So that's going to be their norm.
But don't you think that there's going to be more scams and more things that are going on to where, I mean, how do you know, let's just say what
Malcolm's the scamming has always been the same, though. Like, no matter how technology grows, there's
worse. My mom, literally, she opens up her email and she's like, "Oh, I didn't know how to pay this bill." And she's paying McAfee $493, and then, I gotta go fix it, right? So I'm just saying, if I can talk and touch the person that I'm writing the check to,
it's more trustworthy. Yeah.
I feel like, because let's just say that you're 20 years old and let's just say that you need to get a life insurance policy. Why would I go online and read all this stuff that, by the way, the companies put in there, which a lot of people don't know? And I'd like to clarify, just for the fact of me being the old person in the room, because we've already acknowledged that. I am an IT person and I do have a tech background. So I love the internet for what it does for me. It doesn't mean that there aren't people out there trying to hack or to create a quick buck off other people.
Right.
So Justin, I think, is a little I think he's a little out there. Is out there the right word? I'm going to say that I think that the relationships are still going to be key in the future. Whether it's FaceTime, Zoom, whether it's in person, I don't know that necessarily needs to be the case, but I really don't know that people are still going to just go on to their phones and buy life insurance. Because someone has to prompt you, right? A life event.
Yeah, they're still, so this is the thing. I believe that, the AI piece, like right now,
Mm-hmm.
like some of those sites, they get you to call in and then they'll have a person in real time contact you
Okay.
off of the information that you put into the system.
Okay.
And that's how, like, people buy leads. But
Mhm.
I kind of agree with Justin. Like 10 years from now, because
Justin's wrong.
just think about where we were 30 years
Mhm.
ago, and technology advances and where we are now today. So who's to say that, all right, you can look at, the same way you got like the blue checks on IG and Facebook
Yeah.
or whatever.
There's going to be
They'll have
verified companies
verified
where you don't have
AI
to see anybody.
companies. Yeah, it's verified AI companies or whatever. It's like, all right, put your age in.
Or even if you look at the global currency that they eventually want to create, or the federal currency that they want to create, it's going to be able to track every dollar spent. So if somebody scams you, they're going to be able to look at that money that you put into that company and say this was fraudulent. They're going to be able to see it all in the back end. Versus like if I give somebody scan my card somewhere right now, nobody can do anything about that. The government can't do anything about that, but once they have that federal currency, they'll be able to. It's getting crazy out here.
All I'm gonna say is I don't want the
crazy.
federal government involved in my money. That's all I
I
gotta
don't
say.
either. I don't
Just
either.
saying.
100%.
But I will say, as the concrete evidence here, that until the day I die, I will always work with someone based on the relationship. And I think that's the reason why we're doing this podcast, is to have people understand that you've got to know and trust the people that you're working with.
But that's the best way to do it. That is absolutely the best way to do it.
And
I just think
AI
people are
was
gonna be
built, by the way,
manipulated.
AI was built on people.
Yeah.
So AI is not perfect. Google
Right,
does
right,
not
right.
have all the answers.
I've seen a couple of Teslas smashed up on the side of the road.
Right.
Exactly. And
But you're right. You're right.
But the other part too is people pay to advertise on the internet too. So you have all these companies that are throwing money into these services. Obviously, they are going to pick up people. But the crazy part about it is that the best service that I know is based on a relationship and a referral that's going to be passed. And that has started since the 1900s, and that hasn't changed.
Right.
And that's how my business has been built.
Right.
I don't sit there and go on the internet and just say, hey, Pam's the best thing since sliced bread. I want you to say it, right? And I want Justin to say it, because coming from me, who cares about what I have to say about myself, right? It's about the people that you know and trust.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So anyway, sorry to get off on that topic, guys, but I say AI is going to be dead in the future because security protocols and government's going to get involved, and they're going to shut that crap down.
AI is actually, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with you on that one.
Well,
AI is here
I'm
to-
already seeing some of these.
I don't like
copyrights.
it. I have a love-hate relationship with AI.
I love smart tech. I love things that help me work smarter. But I think that people will always have a place in the universe.
Yeah, people have a place building AI. People have a place managing AI. In some instances, I don't want it to be that way, because you're right. You take out that personal aspect,
Right.
and I think there's going to be a whole generation up until my generation that's like, nah, we need real people. It's just the younger people. They're like, this is a long-term game that they're playing.
I'm definitely probably going to need to get that life insurance policy, because this is all going to happen when I'm dead and someone else is going to benefit.
Right.
But with business, let's get into like the entrepreneurship aspect of things. Like, you decided you want to be an entrepreneur. You don't want to work for anybody. You want to do your own thing. Talk about that. What made you go that route, and to get to where you are
You
now?
can't work for the man.
All right. So I actually started out, when I first started in insurance, I was independent, because I come off of playing like this one year in the ABA, like had my daughter, and I was like, oh man, no overseas. So I'm here. So I got an opportunity to work with a company. Started working with them. I was captive, only selling term insurance and very low contract. And it felt more like multi-level marketing.
Yeah.
So I was kind of turned off, and I needed cash right away. So I went in corporate America for about 2 years.
Okay.
Got laid off. And after that, I just got the entrepreneurial spirit was always in me anyway. So got some trucks on the road. We started doing the contracting, putting guys on trucks. I was like, man, I just love this freedom. I love it. So while on the trucks, one of the contracts, something happened with one of the contracts. So the company that we were working with, they kind of folded, and I was like, you know what? I don't think I can go back and work for anybody else. So I began to study again, get my life insurance. My license actually helped at this time. So jumped all in and essentially never looked back. I just added lines of
Passive
licenses.
income.
Yeah, licenses, yeah. And got contracts, got appointments with a lot of different carriers, and I was able to do a lot of different things for businesses, their employees, and individuals. So I was able to, kind of help out everyone, like on a broad spectrum. So,
But you're building relationships, so you spend time on your education, which a lot of business owners don't do. They don't spend time on their education.
yeah.
They don't build time on the relationships. They just sit out there and they think marketing's going to get them the actual prospects, and I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that building those relationships with people that you do like is where you be able to be a better benefit to your clients, because the more options that you have and the more people that you can trust to help you build your empire, then you have more people you can help.
Well, he's a networking expert. It's basically what you're saying. Like, networking is key. And one thing that I've learned about Malcolm is, like, he connects with so many different people on so many different levels. And talk about how that benefits your business.
Absolutely. It helped me build a huge book of business on the life insurance side of things, to where, I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of people were saying, yo, if you don't market, you're gonna And if I were like really big on like social media and marketing, I probably disagree with you, but I know it's not the norm. But I actually built my business with no marketing. I just did. It was word of mouth, do good business, you get referrals, people.
Yeah.
I have people calling me all the time. Hey, I used to buy a lot of leads. I literally did not buy one lead last year. And it was all based on relationships built, my current book of business, which I went and, I was pounding the pavement, knocking on doors, trying to get business in the beginning. And next thing you know, I just had a nice little book of business where I could just call on them. They get new employees. They call me, hey, you should come talk to my employees. And then their employees are telling family about me. And,
It's all word of mouth.
That's it.
So,
you do good business, people come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed with you on that one.
That's awesome. What like type of adversity like have you had to go through in order to like get to a place where you're like comfortable? Because I mean, every entrepreneur, every business owner has to go through it. So talk about a little bit of yours and how you got to get through it.
So actually, when I first started out in the insurance space, I'll give it to you raw. It was like 2012. Just had a daughter, and I was just trying to figure it out. Well, my daughter was actually on the way.
Got it.
That was it. So my team, I had a really bad ankle injury in the ABA.
Okay.
We're starting to rehab, getting ready to take off and sign a contract to go overseas and play basketball. Found out my daughter was on the way. So I'm like, okay, now I have a why. So fast forward, I'm making these calls, didn't know what I was doing, and I'm getting no's left and right. So that's one. You'll get a lot of no's before you get a yeses in the beginning.
I think there's books written on that.
100%.
Yeah.
It's the truth, God honest truth. Also, once I got back into the industry, I went through a space and time where, didn't make all the best decisions. And in 2016,
They do say that's fail ahead, by the way. You can't succeed unless you fail.
Right, 100%. Can't
So-
have a testimony without a test.
Nope.
Yeah. So
Nope.
I actually didn't even have a car my second time getting into insurance. My car went down. So I was out like walking in the heat, knocking doors.
That makes you feel the business. You better have a good why for that, right?
So I landed my first big appointment,
Okay.
made enough money to go get a rental car.
Okay.
I said, okay, if I can get this jump start to get a rental, it was extremely costly. I drove a rental for 3 months until I built up enough income to go in and say, hey, look at these bank statements for the past 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And I used the vehicle to take me from appointment to appointment to appointment and build up enough to where I was able to, my first car that I bought was a 528i BMW.
Really?
Yes, which is crazy. Like the story was crazy. Like going from not having a license, no car, sitting on a DUI back in the beginning of 2017, going into 2017, starting back in the insurance industry, midway through the year, being able to get a rental, buy your first car as a luxury vehicle. And I did it not because to say, hey, look at me. It was because I set in my mind a goal and I wanted to attain that. And I said, you know what? This is what I want. I wrote it out, wrote the vision, made it plain.
Yep.
Saw it in my mind's eye, went and got it.
Yep.
And then from there, it just took off. But along the way, there was definitely times where I get up and I'm like, man, I don't know if I can do this. Like every business owner I know runs into those.
You bring up a really good point, because when I coach people and I coach businesses, that is one of the things. When I ask them their why, it is the most generic answers ever. It's always like, oh, my family. Oh, I want to be a multimillionaire. Oh, I want to do this. And you can tell when they're talking, they don't feel it. And it's funny when you start talking, I can feel what you're saying. It's literally like, you know what? It was now or never. I made some bad choices. I got to this point and I said, you know what? If I'm going to succeed, I have to envision it. I have to feel it. And I got to make this work.
Absolutely.
And not a lot of businesses do that. They're just like, okay, you know what? I'm going to pay for this franchise and I'm just going to, follow the rules and I'm going to just do what they tell us to do. And, and I'll see how this goes. And then, and when you don't buy into the vision, I don't know how you succeed. And I say that because I am very passionate about what I do. But when I don't see other people's passion to the relationships, I struggle buying into what they're doing. And I do, and writing that check. Right. Very rarely, and everybody makes jokes about how I'm probably the easiest sale ever. But they're not wrong. If I believe in that person, I'm going to buy in and I'll write the check.
Right.
So I do believe in what you're doing. And to your point, I know you are great at networking. And I know that you make an impact when you speak and when you talk to people because you do care. Right. And I think this is the reason why we were doing this podcast. Absolutely. It's really to highlight people that are really your trustworthy people and the people that really locals need to know about.
Yeah, absolutely. Really just, if you could, you have people watching, you have young people watching, people who want to get into the industry. What would you tell them to help them, like, what steps should they take if they want to be successful in the industry?
One thing I did was I started to really, the very first thing, look in the mirror and, like Pam said, find a why. Yeah. Because you can say, all right, I want to do this, but what's going to keep you going? So when you find that true why, that's going to cultivate that hunger inside of you.
Right. Because that when that no comes in and you don't have that why,
like, all right.
Yep, you're like, did I make the right decision?
Right.
You question yourself?
Yeah, right. Absolutely. And then after you figure out that why, that's going to help you to keep going. And it's going to push you. So after that, you find out who is successful in whatever field it is that I want to go into. Look up successful people in that field, study them, look at what they do, watch them. And if you're able to get close enough, then, ask questions. Right. But right now we're in an information era. You can go on YouTube and find out what a successful blank does. Right. What and look up the top ones in the industry. Yeah. And just pattern. Yeah. It's really simple.
It's interesting you're bringing that up because when I start talking to agents and they're like, okay, by the way, and this probably was with you too, because you even brought it up and you said, I got my license, I did everything I was supposed to do, and then I didn't know what I was doing because you just get the license. The license doesn't say this is how you sell life insurance, right? For real estate, it's the same way. You just get your license, you know the laws, but it doesn't say, hey, this is how you write a contract. You don't know. And when a lot of times I'll tell people, I'll say, you know what? Find the people that you want to most be or mimic and sit down with them and ask them those questions. And
Yeah.
when they're willing to give you 5 minutes of their time, it's because someone else did it for them
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
paying it forward. And now when you're talking about your AI and watching these videos and stuff, it's funny because you could really do that. You can watch these people. In my opinion, and this is just obviously not the norm for everybody else because these two guys disagree with me. I also am going to say that a lot of times on social media, when it comes to videos, things like that, people will say what is fashionable or what is, that's going to keep your interest.
Mhm.
They're not going to talk about real life. I mean,
Right,
even realtors, they might have sold one house all year, but man, they are the top agent, right? Like their website says they're the top agent, but they're not talking about their struggles. They're not talking about how how
Social
the
media is
industry
a
is.
highlight reel.
Yeah,
It's a highlight
right.
reel.
That's
To the
all it is.
point.
I don't
So-
put anything bad about my life on it.
Who
Right.
does?
Right.
I mean, there's sometimes where I'm like, this just happened kind of thing, right? But to your point, like when you're talking about watching those videos, sometimes it's really hard, even though you have that why and you watch this person who's hyper successful and you're like, dude, I feel overwhelmed by that. And I feel like sometimes I'm like, I need to step. I need to crawl before I walk, right? Who's going to help me kind of get myself in the right path?
Right.
And I mean, faith comes into that. But the other part too is that why has to be so strong because every agent I walk into and I have a conversation with, which by the way has been a lot of agents,
Yeah.
and I've sold a lot of houses, they are the best thing since sliced bread every time I talk to them.
Yeah.
Every one of them. But you know what? They're all different. They say they got a niche, they got this, they got that. And, and I think to that point is a good question is, how do you create that differentiation piece for you to say, this is why you should use me?
So before I get to that,
Yeah.
what I'm going to say is one thing that I did personally,
Yeah.
I didn't really go on YouTube until later to
Okay.
like cultivate the salesmanship and sales
Yeah.
skills. But what I did to learn in my specific field in doing presentations, I had a district at the time.
Okay.
I had a district manager and a regional manager. I went to both of them. I said, hey, you got a moment? It's like, yeah, come on in. I went into the office. I pulled up my phone. I hit record and I said, can we role play? It's like, sure. I'm going to be the client. You are selling me. So I want you to sell me on,
Yeah.
I want you to do a presentation. How do you do a presentation for the group and how do you do a presentation for the business owner? And I recorded both of them.
Oh, wow.
And I took the time out to extract what fit my sales, my style, and what didn't. And I went home and I actually wrote down what they were saying. I would play it back, pause, rewind, write down, rewind, play. I wrote it all down and I learned this script.
Created a game plan.
I created a game plan and I
Just like in
literally,
the NBA, huh?
yeah, you go to the drawing board, write down what works and what doesn't. And look, and what I did that. I went to my first business owner presentation, crushed it. I took the other piece of it, the other half of the page with the enrollment presentation. Well, not enrollment, it was pre-enrollment presentation.
Yeah.
I did that presentation and I got a whole, a school. Justin knows the school I'm talking about, but it's a big school. And I signed up like 90% of the employees.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and that really kick-started the career. So it's really about the hunger.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The why, the
why.
drive,
The why.
the drive,
The why.
and the game plan you put together.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us, why would someone come to Malcolm?
Why would
for
they come
business?
to?
Yeah.
Why
Wouldn't they? Right?
Nah.
I mean-
Like you said it yourself, trustworthy. I've been in the industry a very long time, very knowledgeable. I have a bevy of different products that I can offer families. I can get almost anyone covered. I'm not just the normal cookie cutter. All right, so this is your policy and this is what I can do so much. And we'll have a good time.
Yeah.
I'll make you laugh and
Well, you do. There is something that you do that I don't know that you noticed, but you actually listen. Like it's not even like okay, I'm not going to say anything. You actively listen, and even on the back of your head, you're hearing things, and you're not trying to sales pitch them. You're trying to find the best product that's going to fit for them. You create that life for
100%.
them. Yeah.
100%.
And I think that's not like all salespeople. And it's funny because people tell me that I'm a salesperson, and I don't feel that I am. I'm a matchmaker, right?
You are that. You are that. You are. So, that's for another podcast. But I will say this: you're a great listener as well.
Yeah.
But that is the biggest piece, a major component of selling anything. You have to listen, and I had to learn that early.
Yeah.
Because how can you provide the best service if you don't know what they need?
Right.
Yeah.
You have to spend the majority of your time listening.
Only they can tell you that.
That's it. And if you let them talk long enough, they'll tell you exactly what it is that they need. So you just have to be,
And their motivation.
Absolutely.
And online. Yeah. You might even get some cookies out of it.
100%. You're extremely perspicacious. I picked that up about you. So I see why you do as well as you do.
Yeah. What is that?
Perspicacious.
Well, I've never heard that word.
Perspicacious is keen mental perception. You
Okay.
can pick up on certain things. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the word for the day. Perspicacious.
We'll have to do a podcast on that.
Perspicacious.
Perspicacious.
Yeah.
Okay.
P-E-R.
Very nice. Very
Yeah.
nice.
P. Yeah.
Well, I think we're good, right? So
Yeah, I mean, unless you got anything else you want to share with us in regards to this field, I mean.
about how cool we are.
Yeah.
I mean, y'all already know that. Right, what's understood, I have to be explained, right?
No, but definitely appreciate you coming on the podcast. I definitely hope the audience, got a good glimpse of what life insurance is all about, what you're all about. Yeah, what you're all about, and then hopefully they want to work with you and build their life insurance policy and their portfolio. So that's the whole goal of this: connecting people, giving people knowledge, wisdom, and just helping them be, just better overall.
And I also think supporting local businesses.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rather, again, going back to the AI, I think the more that you can speak to people that are in your community and you're helping those local business owners that are going to care about you. And I think that's really key. And I think to your success, you do listen, you are personable, and you do spend time on your education. And so why wouldn't someone take the extra time to come see you rather than going on the internet and filling out a lead that they're going to randomly give to the person who gives them the most money for it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So reach out to Malcolm if you need life insurance. If you have life insurance questions, needs, obviously you do. We know you do. His link will be in our bio. Click the link and reach out to him. So thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
All right.